Hey everyone, it's me, Cupie83. I have some skippers out here to show you. So I thought it would be fun to go through some of my skipper collection and just pull out all the dolls that were the same, so you could see kind of what's in my collection, and also you can see some of the different faces that Skipper has had over the years. So in this video we're going to talk about Living Skipper and Pose and Play. So I have a couple different Living Skippers here. Living Skipper was out between 1970 and 1972. This is a version of the original Living Skipper, and she was called Dramatic New Living Skipper. She came in two different hair colors. She came in strawberry blonde and pale blonde. I think both of mine are strawberry blonde. This is one that's in played with condition, and their hair looks really similar, so I think this one just faded a bit. But there are two different hair colors that you could find this doll in. Now the one I'm holding right now, I received in minty condition. Like, she was literally like mint in box. So she's a perfect example of what a Living Skipper should look like. So she has rooted eyelashes, she has really nicely done pigtails with a side part, and then she has a little curl up in the front of her hair there. She has a Living Skipper body, which was a new body. It was more flexible body. It had click knees, there was wire in the arms so you could bend those. Also, it was just very, very posable compared to the dolls that were released prior to that with the harder sort of vinyl. Now because of the body, if you find one of these mint in box, or you find one in an attic somewhere, their limbs might be melted together. It's very common. I've definitely had a couple dolls that I've had to cut the vinyl around the shoulder area or the hip area so they could move their limbs again, just because heat, vinyl, not always a good mix. So you might find that if you do get one mint in box. But this is a really great example of a Living Skipper that was released out to the public. So there was also a Living Skipper between 1971 and 1972. That one had a yellow swimsuit. It didn't wear this green, blue, and pink swimsuit. But the Living Skipper from 1970 to 1971 was in a yellow swimsuit, had orange hair ribbons, and it came with a skateboard. I mean, I guess this could have been one, but I got her naked and played with, so I have no idea if that was one or not. I don't have an example of one of those in box. I know for sure this was a Dramatic Living Skipper though. And then this one was also, fun fact, sold as a trade-in offer. So you could give $1.99 and a doll of your choice to wherever you were trading this doll in, and you would get a new dramatic new Living Skipper of your own that was in a special trade-in box. So there are quite a few of the Living Skippers out and about. They're never in awesome shape. I'm very lucky to have one that's so mint, I think. But I don't think that they're rare. Now, speaking of rare Living Skippers, we're gonna move these two aside. We're gonna talk about this one right here. So this is a Dramatic Living Skipper that came as part of a Sears gift set. Very best velvet. She is different from the other Living Skippers because she was made in the Japanese factory as opposed to the Taiwan factory. So you'll see, compared to the original doll, that she is very different. She looks more like the early sort of twist and turn Skippers with her coloring. Her hair is definitely a different color. It's a definitely different texture. The pigtails are tighter on the Japanese made doll. And just there's a whole different like look to each of these dolls. Now, I didn't get this one as a gift set. I think this was one I found at Shirley's Dollhouse in like a bin of Skippers, and it was just sitting there with all these other Skippers. And I don't think Shirley knew, or whoever was running it knew, that this was a little different than the other Living Skippers, because they was just sitting in a bin. So I think I lucked out in finding this because it was completely random. I don't think I found her at a doll show because I would have paid more money for her if I did. So this was completely random and on my list of skippers that I really, really, really wanted in my collection. Because I love her like cute face, and I love the like porcelain color to her skin, and I love her hair. But she's very hard to find. I looked just today on eBay to see if there were any on there, and there were none. So if you see a skipper like this and you're like, oh, that kind of looks different from your living skipper, you can ask if it's someone on eBay, for example, you can ask for them to check to see if it says Japan on the butt. Because if it does say Japan, it's definitely one that was part of this gift set. Or you can always ask to see the hair color closer, but definitely a clear indication for me is the tight little pigtails, because they're much tighter than like the original US release. And then last but not least, we have Fluff, who was their friend in 1971. She was like the first friend introduced since like Ricky and Scooter. So like Skipper had been friendless for quite some time. And then they released Fluff, who was from 1970. She has a unique face mold that they only used one more time, and then it completely disappeared. I thought I had more than one Fluff, but this is it. I think I should probably invest in maybe trying to add another Fluff to the collection. So I do randomly see her at doll shows, but this is a friend. She has also rooted eyes. They are brown though, which is different from the skippers that you see here, which all have blue eyes. So that's a fun fact about Fluff. But this is the swimsuit she would come in. And she, again, has that same body. So you'll want to make sure her limbs aren't stuck together. And if you do own some of these, just remember to go through them every now and then and move their limbs. Just because even if you did, you know, unmelt them, sometimes they'll just try to do it again. So definitely make sure you move their limbs. So that's a little about the living skipper days between 1970 and 1972. So now we're going to go to 1972 to 1973-ish. So we're still in the early 70s. So we'll put these guys away. So this is, these are the Pose and Plays in my collection. Pose and Play was out between like 1972 to 1973, so a very short sort of tenure there. They came out in first a set, a play set. So it was the swing around swing set, and in that set you got a doll that looked something like this. She has that same living skipper body, so all of her limbs, they, you know, have the click knees and you can bend their arms and such. And apparently for the swing around swing set, which I don't actually have, but you know, we'll get one day, if you pull out their arm socket, like you pull out their arms and then like attach it to the swing set, their arms will move freely so they could turn and do all the things, and then you just push the arms back in so you could pose them. I've never done that to any of these dolls, and I really don't plan to, so, because it seems kind of precarious to like pull out the arm of a doll that was made in the 70s that is prone to melting and such, so I haven't actually done that. But according to this swing set instruction, you pull their shoulder, then their arm moves freely, and if you want to pose them, you push it back in. You can try it on yours if you want, but it's not my fault if it breaks. One day I'll try it on one that is just sad that I you know, want to do something with and have an extra body for. So the Pose and Play doll is one of my favorites because I think her face is just super cute, and I love the styling of her, and she's weirdly basic for a doll that came out right after the Living Skipper, which was, you know, she had colorful lips and she had cheek color and the rooted lashes, and then we have her who has less of that. Like, she doesn't have as much cheek color, she has like neutral lips, and she doesn't have rooted lashes. So she came out in a couple different hair colors as well. I think I only have one. She came out in strawberry blonde and pale blonde, which is the hard to find one. I think all of the ones on the table are strawberry blonde. I've yet to find a pale blonde like in the wild while searching. I imagine the pale blonde would look something like this, but I'm guessing because I'm not quite sure because I've never actually seen one. So this is what she wore. Just a blue little swimsuit, gymnastic suit, some sort of thing that she could, you know, swing around her swing set in. And this is what she looked like when she was mint. This was actually a baggy doll, so the interesting thing about her is that, as I said, in 1972 to 73, she was in a play set with this swing thing. She never came out in a box. Basically, she went straight from being in the play set to becoming a baggy doll. So she was just a doll in a bag that said Skipper, which was a thing Mattel did back in the day. So basically to get rid of extra stock, they would go and like put the dolls in bags, sell them as cheaply as they probably could, just to get rid of them. So she must not have done very well, but I think she's adorable. But this was definitely a baggy doll. I found her at a doll show a couple years ago, instantly took her out of the bag because why? Like, why does she need to stay in the bag? But she's like so minty fresh because the interesting thing about her is they were all sold like this. Pretty, cute, tight little pigtails, and the ones you see online have all kind of expanded a bit. You see their hair is a little more wild. They've been on the swing set a couple too many times. Their hair has definitely not been set to the head like it was in the beginning, but they all look kind of like more rough around the edges. I still like them when they're like this because it's still a cute little style, but it's interesting to know that it went from this to this. So I like that I have one that's a good example of like a mint one, but also this is still cute. So this is just another pose and play. Same hair color as my other one, and this is another example of a pose and play because they're just adorable. I like pose and plays. I could have a whole shelf of pose and plays and still be happy. I would like one that's in this like weird pale blonde color one day. But pose and play also had a friend who was named Tiff. Tiff was only out for a year. She was out in 1972. She was in a box, so whereas this one came in the playset and the baggie, this one was in a box. She was Skipper's tomboy friend. Only lasted for a year. She basically replaced Fluff. And I have a video on both of these dolls on the channel too, but she basically replaced Fluff because they have the same face. So you'll see they both have the brown eyes. The only difference is Fluff has blonde hair and rooted lashes, and Tiff does not have the rooted lashes, and she has the brown hair, and she was made up to look more like a tomboy. Both of these dolls are harder to find randomly. Tiff is really hard to find. Apparently people didn't like her, but I think she's so cute. And I would love to have another Tiff, especially one in like her original outfits, because this is not her original outfit. But I feel lucky to have one, but also I'd like to have another one. But they're very expensive. This is one where if I do add it to my collection, it's going to be because the person has no idea what they have, and I'm just going to like snatch it and you know, take it for that. I can never pay full price for a Tiff. But yeah, it's super, super cute. Some people have taken a Fluff, rerooted it to have Tiff's hair, taken out the eyelashes, and like done some repainting to make their own custom Tiff, which is an option for you. But yeah, Tiff was a friend only for a year. As you can see, they look super cute together. And they're just very, very fun dolls. So now we're going to move on to the final group of Skippers in this video. So we're going a bit backwards here because Twist and Turn actually came out before everything that you've seen. So in 1968, Mattel released Twist and Turn Skipper, which is called Twist and Turn Skipper because she has a twist and turn waist that allows her to twist and turn and do all the fun stuff. So I don't have many twist and turns. I would like more of them. But yeah, for some reason I only have these two. They came out in multiple hair colors as well. Hard to find is ash blonde and pale blonde. And then brunette and Tishan are the ones you typically see. I think both of these are considered Tishan. I would like to try to find one that's in this like ash blonde color, but I don't honestly think I've seen many of them. There hasn't been a good doll show in, well, a year at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna have to try to find one of these at a doll show, maybe in a different hair color. So these were produced both in the Japanese factory and the Taiwan factory. These dolls are, this is the Japanese factory. So she would have been one of the earlier releases of a twist and turn, and this was the Taiwan factory. And you can actually see some like subtle differences in them. For example, this girl who's from the Japanese factory, she has really high color on her cheeks. Like, it's still like very prominent. So she, I would think, is considered one of the high color girls. And her hair is kind of dull. And then this one that was produced in Taiwan later, less color on her face, still super cute face, but her hair is more glossy. So you see that there is some differences with her hair color. Both of them, though, are super, super cute. And you can totally tell that there's some comparisons to the living skipper that was produced in the Japanese factory. I think they look very much alike in their skin tone and how the face paint was put on. After shooting the video, I looked at my mom's collection, and she actually has a pale blonde twist and turn skipper. So this is her skipper. The face is yellowed a bit, but it is my mom's childhood doll, so it's been with her for a very, very long time. And then in 1969, the twist and turn got a makeover. I think I prefer the straight-haired girls, but in 1969, they started coming out with twist and turns that looked like, that had sausage curl type hair. I don't have a great example of a sausage curl. This one had her sausage curls like redone, and her face is a little weird, but she's the only example I have. So I'm happy to have her in my collection, and I'm happy to one day find another one to be her friend, who maybe is a little more mint. But she came out in 1969. She had two hair colors, gold blonde and Java brown. So this is the gold blonde. And in 1970 to 71, there was another version of a twist and turn skipper that was in like a yellow swimsuit thing, yellow-orange swimsuit thing. I don't have an example of that one. I believe she also had sausage curls. And she came out in the same two hair colors, but I don't have an example of her. Of the twist and turns, the straight-haired ones are definitely my favorites. And even though this is a common hair color for them, I still think it's a really pretty hair color for them. I think it goes really well with like their porcelain skin. And it's fun to see the differences between the factories too, because yeah, it's strange that the earlier twist and turn from the Japanese factory has such high color compared to the one from Taiwan. You will see variations on like the swimsuit. This is the original swimsuit that it would have worn. So you will see some variations where the stripes are thicker or smaller, or there's a different color variation. So there are some versions that are rarer than others. She did not have a friend. She was a lonely girl who just hung out with her swimsuit at the pool. She wouldn't get her friend until what, 1970, as we covered, when Fluff would come along. But yeah, she had no friend. But that is a quick little look at some of the dolls that came out from like 1968 to like 1972. So just to recap, if this was super, super confusing, which it probably could have been, we saw the pose and play skippers, we saw the living skipper, we saw the twist and turn skipper. This was a really great era in skipper dolls because they're all so cute. I don't have a ton of outfits, obviously, but I think the dolls in general are just, they're really, really fun. So if you're a skipper collector, make sure you don't ignore this era of skipper, because there are so many really pretty examples of the doll and the character, and I know you will want to add them to your collection. So let me know what you think of the dolls here, if you had a twist and turn or a pose and play or a living skipper, if you have any of the rare hair colors, or if you're searching for any of these things like I will be, because now I'm reminded of all the things that I would like to add to my collection once doll shows are a thing again. Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!